There's a book sitting in a locked vault at Yale University, older than 600 years.
Shadows stretch across the stone.
Its pages are covered in elegant, flowing handwriting.
A silent hearth, a frozen throne.
Page after page of it.
The embers whisper secrets old.
Written in a language no one on this earth can read.
In hallways dark and bitter cold.
Its illustrations are strange and beautiful. Plants that don't seem to exist in nature, women bathing in pools connected by an impossible network of tubes, stars, moons, diagrams that look like astronomy but answer to no system we recognise. Whoever wrote this book understood every single word of it. They knew exactly what they meant. But that understanding died with them.
We watch the dust in pale moonlight and drift into the endless night.
Historians have studied it, linguists have studied it.
No answers wait, no bells will chime.
Code breakers who cracked Nazi ciphers in the Second World War have studied it.
Inside the folds of time.
Tonight, we're opening one of history's most mysterious books, the Voynich Manuscript. You're listening to the Beyond Haunted UK podcast, and my name is Jamie. As always, I ask you to please listen with an open mind. Now, throughout history, books have survived almost everything we could throw at them. Wars, fires, religious upheaval, the collapse of entire kingdoms. Libraries have burned and languages have died out, and still somehow, we can usually sit down with an old book and, given enough patience, work out what it says. Now that's the strange thing about the Voynich Manuscript. It just isn't like that. We don't know who wrote it, we don't know what language it's written in, or if it's a language at all. We don't fully know why it was made. And yet, we know without any doubt that it is real. It's not a modern forgery, it's not a joke someone's played on the world. It's a genuine medieval object made by a real person for a real reason at a real point in history. So with that, let's start with the book itself. Today, the manuscript lives at the Voynich Rare Book and Manuscript Library at Yale University, and it's catalogued simply as MS-408. It's around 240 surviving pages written on vellum, which is prepared animal skin, which was the standard writing material of the period. Carbon dating on the vellum places its creation somewhere between 1404 and 1438. So whatever this book is, it's not a Victorian hoax, and it's not something cooked up in the 20th century. The physical object itself is unmistakably, unquestionably medieval. Now, as someone who loves books, I often think about what it must be like to actually hold it. The handwriting is fluid and confident, so whoever wrote this wasn't hesitating. They weren't copying something they didn't understand. And the hand moves the way a hand moves when the person holding the pen knows exactly what they're doing. There are fold-out pages, larger sheets folding into a binding to hold bigger diagrams, and scattered throughout. There's plenty of colour. Ochres and greens and blues applied with care, illustrating things that don't quite belong to any tradition we can place. So what's actually inside it? The first section is often called the botanical section, and it's the largest part of the manuscript. Page after page of plants, each one drawn in careful detail, roots and leaves and flowers rendered the way you'd expect in a medieval herbal, which are those practical plant and medicine reference books that were common in this period. Except some of these plants look real. You can squint and half recognise a species. And then the next one looks like nothing that has ever grown anywhere. Some researchers think that the illustrations combine several real plants into one. Others wonder if they're symbolic rather than literal. Nobody can really say for certain, and I'd rather sit in that uncertainty than pretend otherwise. Next comes what's actually called the astronomical section. Circular diagrams, zodiac symbols, and what appear to be star charts, moon phases, and layers of cosmology laid out in careful concentric rings. Medieval Europe was full of manuscripts like this. Astronomy and astrology weren't separate disciplines the way we think of them now. They were bound together. So on the surface, this section feels almost familiar. And then you notice the details don't quite line up with any other zodiac cycle from the period. Recognisable, but not quite. Then there's the section people tend to remember most vividly. The biological section. Page after page of women, unclothed, bathing in elaborate systems of interconnected pools and pipes and vessels. It's unlike anything else in the manuscript, and unlike much else from the period generally. Interpretations vary hugely. Some scholars have suggested it relates to medicine, the female body, reproduction, and fertility. Others have proposed alchemical symbolism, the pools representing processes rather than literal bathing. Some have wondered if it's tied to balneology, the medieval practice of bathing for health. Now I want to be honest with you here. There are no consensus. Every interpretation is a reasonable guess dressed up as theory, and that's about as far as the evidence takes us. After that comes a section sometimes called pharmacological. Jars, roots, isolated plant parts arranged in ways that suggest recipes or preparations. It reads like something practical, something meant to be used rather than purely symbolic. But without being able to read the text alongside the images, we're guessing at the relationship between the two. And that brings us to the writing itself, which honestly might be the strangest part about the whole manuscript. There are roughly 170,000 characters in the Voynich Manuscript, written in a script that doesn't match anything else that survives from the medieval world. It's not Latin, it's not Greek, not any known cipher alphabet from the period. It has its own letter forms repeated consistently across the entire text. So here's what makes it fascinating, rather than just baffling. The writing behaves like language. Word lengths follow patterns similar to natural human languages. Certain words repeat in certain positions, the way the or and might cluster in English. There's a statistical rhythm to it that random nonsense typically doesn't produce. That single fact has kept researchers occupied for over a century, because meaningless scribbles tend to look like meaningless under analysis. This doesn't, whatever it is. It was built with structure, and structure suggests intention. So who actually made this thing, and where has it been? The clearest historical trail starts in the court of Emperor Rudolf II in Prague, in the late 1500s. A court famous for its fascination with alchemy, the occult, and unusual curiosities. There's a persistent claim that Rudolf purchased the manuscript for a considerable sum, though the paper trail here is thin. From there, it seems to have passed from person to person. An alchemist in Prague, and later into the hands of Johannes Marcus Marci, who eventually sent it to Rome. This was a man who was famous for claiming rather confidently that he could translate ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. It couldn't, as it turned out, and whether this made any progress with the Voynich manuscript is unknown. After that, the trail goes quiet for a long stretch, until 1912 when a Polish book dealer acquired it from a Jesuit college in Italy and brought it into the modern world, where it's carried its name ever since. Everything before Rudolf's court is uncertain. We simply don't know where the manuscript existed, or in whose hands, for the better part of 2 centuries after it was made. This is just a quick reminder that you're listening to the Beyond Haunted UK podcast. If you're enjoying today's episode, don't forget to follow Beyond Haunted UK on your favourite podcast platform and across our social media. Your support generally helps keep these stories alive. Now, let's return to the manuscript. Given everything we've covered, it's worth asking what people actually think of this book. One idea is that it's simply an unknown herbal manual, a working reference book for a physician or apothecary written in a private or regional shorthand that's since been lost entirely. It fits the format of other herbals from this period. Its weakness is that no other document uses this script anywhere else. Another idea treats it as a broader medieval reference. Plants, the body, astronomy, and pharmacy were often taught and recorded together in this era, so a combined medical text isn't unreasonable. Same problem though, the language remains unaccounted for. Some researchers lean toward alchemy, an alchemical text written deliberately to obscure language to protect its secrets, which was a known practice at the time. Alchemists guarded their work jealously. It's plausible. It's also unprovable. Others have proposed a constructed language, an invented system created for reasons we can only speculate about, whether personal, philosophical, or otherwise. If true, it would make the Voynich Manuscript one of the earliest constructed languages on record, long before anything like Esperanto. Then there's the cipher theory, that it is ordinary language, likely a European one, disguised through a cipher system now lost to time. Codebreakers have thrown enormous effort at this possibility, including some of the same minds who broke Enigma. None of their attempts have produced a solution accepted by the wider field. And then there's the possibility that it is an elaborate hoax, meaningless text designed purely to look meaningful, perhaps created to be sold to a wealthy, gullible buyer. It's a real possibility historians take seriously. Its weakness is the statistical structure we talked about earlier. Hoaxed gibberish from this period doesn't typically behave this consistently. But I will say this clearly. There are other theories out there involving aliens, lost civilizations, and supernatural origins. I'm not going to spend time on them here because they carry no meaningful scholarly support, and this episode is about the real historical mystery, not a manufactured one. In the modern era, the manuscript has been picked apart by computer analysts, statistical linguists, professional cryptography, and more recently, artificial intelligence. Every few years, a new claimed solution makes headlines. A retired professor, a machine learning model, and a confident amateur with a theory. And every time, the broader academic community examines the claims, and every time so far, it hasn't held up to scrutiny. Part of the difficulty is that we have no matching text, no dictionary, no key, and nothing written in a known language alongside it to compare. Most successful decipherments in history, hieroglyphics included, relied on some kind of parallel reference. The Voynich Manuscript offers none. We're working entirely from internal patterns with nothing external to check them against. I think that's what makes this different from most of what we cover on this show. This isn't a ghost story. Nobody's claiming a haunting, nobody's claiming anything supernatural at all. It's something quieter, and in some ways stronger. We tend to assume that knowledge once written down is safe, that putting something on a page preserves it forever. But languages disappear, ideas disappear. Entire cultures vanish, taking with them ways of thinking and understanding that no one thought to translate before it was too late. Someone 600 years ago sat down and understood every single page of this manuscript. They knew what the plants meant. They knew what the diagrams meant. They knew what every one of those 170,000 characters said. But unfortunately, that understanding didn't survive them. It simply disappeared. The manuscript reminds us that history doesn't owe us every answer. Sometimes the greatest mystery isn't hidden treasure, and it isn't a ghost. Sometimes it's just the quiet disappearance of human knowledge. Right now, the Voynich manuscript sits on a shelf in a climate-controlled vault at Yale, exactly as it has for years, waiting patiently, the way it's waited for 6 centuries already. Perhaps to be understood one day. Perhaps never to be understood again. And as usual, if you've enjoyed this episode, please follow Beyond Haunted UK wherever you're listening, and find us across our social media. It generally helps the show keep going, and I appreciate every one of you being here. And until next time, take care.